Let's see how this goes. All right, so we're at the shelter. I guess we're supposed to be looking over here because that's where the doesn't really matter, I suppose.
Hi, TVI.
Hello. I should put something here, right here to look.
A finger.
So I'm here at the shelter with Mela Dominguez. She's a local artist from Los Angeles, East Los Angeles, who moved to Tucson how many years ago?
7 years ago.
7 years ago.
That's a good idea. Turn off the
phones.
It was my drug dealer. Wait, just kidding.
Your Jack and Coke dealer. I don't know why I came out that way. Sorry about that. Anyway, so she has agreed to be the guinea pig today for something we're calling day drinking. And so obviously today it's day drinking with Mela Dominguez. We're thirsty, and we have some drinks. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you.
Some tequila on the rocks. Mel's got. That's where the Jack and Coke reference came from.
Oh, it's mostly Coke.
Yeah, right. And when I asked Mel where she wanted to go, I brought up a few other places, and she said, "Let's go to the shelter." So why did you pick the shelter? What was your thinking about the shelter?
Well, I figured it's Thursday, and they might have some special drinks on tap, like $2 something or other.
Yeah.
And
how much was that?
I don't know either. But I figured in the name itself, the shelter, that's somewhere I feel safe.
That's great. So one of the things that's pretty cool about Mela, if you don't know, we've written about her in the past, is that she's kind of seamlessly come into Tucson as if she was born and bred here. It's not like she came here and we're like, oh, some LA artist comes to Tucson and thinks she's like some mucky muck. It doesn't really work with her because that's just not who she is. So she comes to Tucson and she rolls up her sleeves and gets involved, and it wasn't always probably that easy, but I would add that right now it kind of seems like your year, which every year is probably in Mela's world is your year, right? But for some strange reason right now it feels like it's Mela's world year. You're doing so much wonderful shit.
Well, I have to kind of attribute some of this to me being born in the year of the horse.
Ah, yes, it is the year of the horse.
Yes.
I was born in the year of the horse too.
And we're
I might be a sheep. Forget that one.
Sheep. So long as we're on the same farm.
We're all. That's actually good. That's a good thing, actually. Yeah. Sheep and horses, good matches. It's good.
Yeah, but so let me tell you, to be in the element of fire, so it's fire horse.
Oh, yes.
So I think that's why everything's been aflame.
Right, that's true. That's a really good point. Because it has. You've got. You continue to do work with schools, which is a big important thing for you. Going and doing projects at different schools. But the cool thing too is that where I've been seeing you is signing posters for the All Souls Procession. Mela's poster design was selected for the All Souls Procession this year. Every year they open it up, competition for local artists, and this year it's Mel's. So that was pretty cool.
Yes, it was.
It's beautiful too.
Thank you so much. Even in that realm, I felt very fortunate to be chosen to share in this whole all souls procession piece because of just the amount of people that come together to experience this one thing that we all, no matter who you are or what you are, we all die. So coming together in this way, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So it's an honor for me. And it's the 25th anniversary.
So yeah, that's even doubly cool. Because there's a time. Yeah, that's true. That's true. 25 years. Do you think? I know that some folks out there's a lot of love for the procession, and still within, especially the Chicano community, there's people grumble a bit that there's cultural appropriation, of all Dia de los Muertos. And do you feel that way, or do you feel like it's just a great way for us to? I don't know. From my perspective, it's like we just bring it all together somehow.
We all bring it exactly. We all bring it together somehow. But what I think is really cool about it is the fact that Tucson made it their own. They're trying to make it different. They want to maybe give an example of how we all can things are changing, but they're not. Death isn't changing. and we want to grieve together, and they just wanted to separate it as far as how Tucson celebrates it as a community, and I think that part is awesome, and why not? Why
Right.
not do
Why
that?
not?
Why
Yeah.
not do that?
We're-
And we all come together anyways during that time, and so I don't feel it.
And also, I think it is just the way Tucson is. I mean, we kind of take things and make them our own to begin with. I mean,
The leadership value here.
yeah, right.
I like that. Like, let's change. There's things going on in the world, but there's like a different way. We're like, let's not just protest. Let's go out and make that change.
Right. That's true. That's true. The other stuff that you've been working on, so you've got school projects, the All Souls poster, but the other thing is you do a lot of cool stuff with Tucson Tamale Company.
Oh Lord,
I mean,
yes.
that's been they've been a big supporters of you, and you've been vice versa. And so tell me a little bit about that cool stuff.
Wow. Well, I was granted that opportunity through the community where Nico Ratov, and he's a local
Nico,
artist,
yeah.
poet, and just all like I want to say he's a performance artist, but
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if he does that on purpose.
Yeah, it's life.
He's
Great.
just very lively and very awesome human being here in Tucson.
He'd be a good person to do this with.
Oh,
I gotta ask
totally.
him next. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
he's so cool about
Yeah.
that. Well, he introduced me to Tamale people and
Oh, I
said,
didn't
you know
know
what? Yeah, because I had done a mural in his room, in his home. It's this whole oceanic scene that goes right next to his purple bathtub that lights
Yeah.
up. So, I mean, it went together. And he goes, you would be perfect for the Tucson Tamale Company. And I went in and they allowed me to just express myself, whether it was my social political things that I had going on or just my fun stuff, my interpretations of Tucson. They allowed me. They're like, just go ahead. And in doing so, I kept on being responsible for my art. Like, if something sold, I put it back up. And in developing that relationship, they kept me on board. And they eventually said, no, the people love you. You keep our walls happy and full, and people feel Tucson. So we want to make you the resident artist. And it just so happened that they were growing, and I started growing with them.
That's cool.
And so now they made me my own business, self-sufficient kind of artist, selling like postcards there. And
That's and I think that's one of the things I remember really when I first met you and hearing your story. I'm gonna reach back here and grab the goldfish.
Oh, yes.
It's one of the things I kind of really always loved about your story is that you're a hustler and you proudly claim that title. You don't shy from that. You got to pay bills, you got to make money, and you also got to make your art.
Well, yeah, so they have a chronic illness, and the insurance doesn't pay for all of that. So when you buy my art or anything like that, it goes back to the community and to my medical stuff.
Right. Do you feel comfortable talking about that? What happened? I mean, when you do, you talk about it in this perspective that you almost died.
Yeah.
And that
it really helped me to reevaluate the importance of time and what you do with that time, and that you're only allotted a certain amount of time here on Earth, and so sometimes the basics aren't necessary, so it helped me reevaluate those things, and yes, I am ill, but painting and being active helps eliminate just even knowing that I have it myself. It kind of feeds my soul and helps me continue to. And my hopes is to inspire others to just get involved and do their thing, play their part in being a community.
Getting involved in the community. Yeah, you definitely have done that. What the latest school projects? What is the last one that you got involved in that you've done? I know you were doing Monzo and
I just recently completed one on a conserve to enhance. I painted a water cistern at Henry Elementary on the east side.
Henry, yeah.
Yes, and so I needed assistance because of all the stuff I got going on. So I took on Wesley Craig, who I met during Sueños y Silhouettes that was performed at Global Justice. So we connected, and we're like, let's work together. And so she worked on finishing on the Monzo project, talking about climate change and just exposing the youth to this information, like urban heat island, water, instead of water runoff, water harvest. So just give it, like being a community scholar. We're learning something and immediately sharing it.
That's pretty cool.
You know, and getting it out there. And then most of the time, if we don't always have the time or speak the same language, the art is where it takes over. And so if you go over to Henry Elementary and you look at their cistern, what we've created is we have one Gila monster with his name Henry on him.
No way.
Yeah, and he's drinking water. And then I did another version where he's sitting back and he's drinking a big old glass of water. And then it says, "Did you know that the Gila monster can last 32.5 days without water?" So there's a bunch of information for the kids, you know, and then they get to see. What was awesome too, because we had the Girl Scouts come out and help us.
Oh, I remember you talking about that. I saw that on your Facebook page, I think.
Yeah, but it makes it awesome though, because then they were exposed to women artists.
Right.
Teaching about something current, and being in the now, and seeing how that works, and so it gives them another vision of what the possibilities can be.
I did a Q&A a while back with Wesley, and I familiar with a little bit with her work, and when she was doing the Paint by Numbers project and for women in detention, undocumented women in detention, beautiful project. And it makes sense that you guys would be working together because she's like-minded.
That's our foundation is community.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I think definitely she's a Prescott College graduate. She comes from that perspective too, so pretty cool. And Henry's elementary's mascot is the Gila monster.
Yeah, that's their mascot.
Oh, yeah, that makes them cooler. So you've got that going on, and then when you're talking about illness and you're talking about all the work you're involved in. I mean, I think one of the things that is really obvious, and maybe it's not so obvious, maybe it's just me, but to people, if you're paying attention to the arts community, is that there are a lot of people who are doing really great community artwork, and they happen to also have really great partners. Your partner's Melissa, and she's also equally involved in some great.
She's in the behind the scene chaos.
Yeah. And I don't know, I just really admire that. Like Martina and Marcy are another great example. I mean, there's just some really great examples of there. People who live together and do work together and support each other in their work and values.
The example of balancing each other out.
Yeah, it's all cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, is that I hate to be cliche and say, well, could you do what you do without that person? But is that a big part of you?
Lord, yes. You know how they say behind every great man or woman, there's a woman. The woman. That's who Melissa is.
Right.
Definitely. And it really, she's changed She changed my passion and made professionalism out of it. Like, she made me total professional, and I've really grown up with her, like, as a professional. She's added to that because she's coming from the administrative background, and I'm totally from a creative background. So she's taught me so much that I would have had to go to many years of school and deal with so many academia, and I like this way better because I love her and I could take it from her, all her insults and critiques. She's the one I'm like, oh, but I love
killing me, woman. But then it's good,
No, I mean, there's times where I'm like, Melissa, I love this piece, and she's like, that's awful, don't do it.
No.
And it sells.
Whoa.
It's not like the Felix the cat with the donuts falling out of the sky. It sold. So I'm like, don't talk to me. I know what I'm doing. So
yeah, there's balance in all things. But that's interesting too, because I've gone through that as well with other people where you're like, I think I'm going to write about this. And you're like, oh, that sounds terrible. And then you write about it. Everyone's like, that's fucking fantastic. Yeah. It's always interesting. The kids, doing the work with the schools. I mean, one of the cool things too is that kids just love you. They do. You're like kind of this great Pied Piper in your neighborhood, and then it's fun to listen to your stories about the kids in the neighborhood and
the Goonies.
Yeah, the Goonies. but also just going to the schools and working. What do you love about that? I mean, what's great about working with kids?
Well, I remember being a kid. I remember what it meant to watch cartoons that still had Bill Cosby introducing the cartoon to you, and the understanding with that adults and children of all ages, because could understand illustrations and visuals. And I remember being that little person. So in remembering that essence of being that young person who was adventurous and wanted to learn, I'm like, I want to give them everything I got.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you want to, because you talk about when you were growing up, there were people that mentored you.
Accidentally, they didn't even know if they were.
Right. So in your perspective, it's not accidental. I mean, you're purposefully looking at these kids. Oh, look, we have to change our thing a little bit because now they close the windows on us. Hold on, America.
It's getting sexy in here.
Let's see. Let's get that. You can technology. That's a little bit better.
You still see my eyebrows.
Dark bars are kind of, and you can at least see the Kennedy family and the lady.
Jackie O's over there.
Yeah, over there's some page.
Oh no, that's Melissa.
She needs to get the big glasses. The cool thing for you, I think, was that you're right. They were. It's unintentional, but you were, in your neighborhood, observing art on the streets and soaking it up, and that became part of your work. I mean, your work is kind of like part graffiti artist, part illustrator, and you bring that all together.
Yeah, sure, and that's where I wanted to make it even more so, because even as a youth growing up and having these accidental mentorships with other adults and other artists, I realized that graffiti was the one place where it made it accessible, the art world. And so in understanding that, I was like, okay, I'm going to make myself accessible and art accessible. And remember that imagination is freedom. It's our last freedom. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They had, so I'm
can't get into that. They can't get in your head with that, right?
Oh no, so here I am. I'm giving back, and I'm kind of letting the youth know that right now, with all this technology and free social media that they have, that it's theirs for the taking, and that they could do something really special with that, and I want to be part of that positive piece in changing what we can now.
I know you've been involved with graffiti art programs in the city, and I know, and we don't have to go anywhere, but I know that's one of the things that can be difficult sometimes. You're not the first person. There have been other folks too who have to explain why it's okay, that we're still living with these stereotypes of what graffiti is, and that kind of art. And
well, it's getting a tad better as far as evidence and backup with what graffiti is as a culture and how it's still evolving. And the help and the backup we have is, I know this is kind of bad, but if you go to Target right now and you go in their cooking section, Chef Duff is using graffiti as an element to sell his cakes. And so there you go. I had something to show the city and say, how hypocritical is it for a mother to go and buy a cake mix with graffiti as a design to get her to purchase the product, and then tell the child, don't do that.
Right.
And so that's giving me a little bit of help, and just showing them that we can't be hypocrites, and that instead of punishing and giving another separate program that is not helping necessarily fix the problem, but just coding it, to use that money as a diversion program and really build on the culture that is ever evolving here in town.
Right. Yeah, we have this really interesting tendency in the city. We know there's a problem. We know, there needs to be a fix, but we'll go round and round in circles before we actually finally fix it, or really come up with the answer. And
or else I gotta look like the bad guy.
And you were definitely not that. So.
Well, and that's the thing that I try to maintain is those activities, making them visible and public for not just the public to see, but the city to see that I'm talking to all the youth. I'm talking to the larger community, and I'm trying to be a good mentor. And that's where the tamale actually helps me to showcase that work. That my graffiti artwork and background, I'm implementing it there, but I'm using it to make money.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I'm not just giving it away anymore.
Yeah, that there can be other kids that can learn these skills and someday grow up and be another Mello Dominguez.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, seriously.
And they could be a featured artist one day with me, and like
Right.
that's what I want to do eventually. We're working towards that. It's just Tamale World and myself are so busy doing it and selling that we got to figure out how we can do this like and function. And we're
Right.
getting there. We're getting there. We're growing together,
Right.
and we're growing with the community. So I have really high hopes for the coming generation.
Right, that's cool. And I know we talked about this too in the past. Is that just this how to bring art to other parts of. I mean, that's that you can't like have art just be in a special museum downtown. It has to be reaching out to all parts of the city and stuff. Oh man, sorry about that.
It's all good.
So I mean, then that sounds like that certainly is one way of reaching out to that.
Oh yeah, I mean, because I know Tamale is really easygoing on what I do there, but I often utilize them as a restaurant being open and open to the public to share those social political themes that I deal with, like the migrant deaths. I'll put that out there, and people who are just having lunch are exposed to that, and they have to think about it, including with the Day of the Dead. Like, I made it a promise, like, I can't just paint Day of the Dead and not recognize all of those people that are passing, trying to live a better life. Like, so that's why this year, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I have an upcoming show at Pop Cycle on November 7th.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so every year when we do a show, they asked, Mel, can you create a T-shirt for the show? And I said, great. And then they're all like, well, we're going to pay you for the design. And I was like, hold up. I'm like, not that I don't need money, but if I can donate money, I'm going to do it. So this year, at the show, the T-shirt design, or the purchase of the T-shirt, all the proceeds and the royalties are going to go to Derechos Humanos.
Oh, fantastic. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, woohoo!
You got to make it work. You got to make it happen,
Right. No, that's a great way of doing it. I mean, I think that's also this things that when you're involved in the community that I think people slowly realize that you got to do is, if you're making it, how can you then turn it around and give back in some way?
Exactly. Right. Otherwise, it doesn't even feel right in the soul. You know what I mean? So, see something kind of helps you feel right with your soul.
Right. Well, and it's interesting too. It is Day of the Dead. We've got All Souls coming up, and one of the things that we do in Tucson every year during this time is remember the people who did pass coming through the desert, and we continue to do that. It's all
well,
good.
It won't be in vain, and maybe I'm hoping that we can change maybe like the way we think about migration and things like that. So I know that it sounds delusional sometimes, but that's how it has to be to exist.
Right.
And maybe it won't be so delusional one day. It'll be something that we can all live together and work. And function, and then they can have their Route 11 that goes all the way up from Hermosillo to Canada.
Yeah, right. That sounds good. Canada will appreciate that. Anyway, so we're past the 20-minute mark. I promised myself we wouldn't make this more than 20 minutes so that we don't bore you guys to death. But Shelter, $2 tequila. That's not too bad. We don't know how much. They're nice and cold. It wasn't bad. This wasn't bad. Hopefully you'll be able to hear us, and hopefully you wouldn't mind the graininess now of the since they closed the doors on us. But anyway, so I appreciate you meeting me here and doing this and talking about art in Tucson and all those good things. And it was fun. I recommend going to Pop Cycle, seeing the show November 7th.
Oh yeah, November 7th.
Can you do this? See if you can put it close. Oh, that's cool. Let's see. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. And seeing Mella's work, if you haven't seen it before, if you haven't, you'll love it. It's great, beautiful, beautiful work, and it does speak about what's going on our border region and what's on Mella's mind. And she definitely has a unique style of as an artist that's worked through time. And also just supporting places like Pop Cycle, I think is a great thing.
Thank you, Marty.
Supporting places like Tucson Tamale Company, which I wrote about the Best of Tucson that just came out this week as Best Tamale.
No more starving artists. I got unlimited supply of tamales now.
No way.
Well, I'm now a resident artist. So I changed the paradigm.
So
No
you
more
get the
starving
blue
artists.
corn with the calabacitas?
Yeah.
The blue corn with the calabacitas are
Or the
really
Tucson
good.
grilled.
Oh man, that sounds good. I love their tamales.
Oh, and this Saturday, they're opening their new tamale company on Oracle Ina. You show up, you'll get a free pumpkin tamale.
The place is expanding like crazy. So they started off with the place on Broadway and then East Side, and now in Oracle.
Yes.
They've got it covered, man. It's
And
pretty cool.
they just signed a contract with Whole Foods. They're going to be carrying the chili sauce that I designed in their store. So
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I'll be next to Tapatio.
That's really?
No, I don't know.
way.
But I just been in the chili section. I'm like, yes.
Oh, so like with the poblanos,
You know
and
what I
stuff like
mean?
that, we'll see you there. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I'll have to look for that.
Totally.
It's too bad you didn't bring a bottle for us
I
to
know
show.
how to start.
All right. Thank you, and thanks for dealing with us. Hopefully it's not going to be... We'll do one again next week, hopefully with a couple of other people that are pretty cool out there in Tucson. And
Come drink with Mari.
Drink with me. It's not that bad. All right, you guys. Thanks again.